Today, we're jumping into a super high stakes game of technological survival and ambition. We're going to unpack this fascinating strategy document that lays out a playbook for how a smaller nation plans to compete and, yeah, maybe even win in the global tech race. So let's get right into it. And really, this is the core question, isn't it? When you're up against the sheer economic and research power of places like the US, China, and the EU, you just can't play the same game. You have to play it smarter. So, how is Sweden planning to pull this off? Okay, first things first, we need to understand the new battlefield because the world has changed dramatically. And the way technology, innovation, and geopolitics all smash into each other has created a completely new set of rules. That's really the simple, powerful truth of it. That whole era of open, free-flowing global collaboration, it's being replaced by something a lot more competitive and fragmented. Right, let's break this down a bit. What we're seeing is this intense rivalry where technology is basically the grand prize. The world is kind of clumping together around three huge players: the US, China, and the EU. And each one is trying to build its own technological sphere of influence. This means those global supply chains we've relied on for decades, they're breaking apart and reforming into these regional groups. It's a massive shift, and every country has to figure out how to adapt. So in this new kind of cutthroat landscape, where does a country like Sweden actually fit in? What are its strengths and what are its limitations? This quote from the report just gets right to the heart of it all. It says, in absolute terms, Sweden cannot be an international leader in any single technology area. Now hold on, this isn't an admission of defeat, not at all. It's just a stone-cold dose of reality. For a country its size, the strategy can't be to lead in everything. It has to be about dominating in very specific, very carefully chosen little corners of the tech world. And here they are, the 12 key battlegrounds they've identified as absolutely critical for the future. Now, the text here is in Swedish, but it covers a huge range of fields, things like artificial intelligence, robotics, quantum tech, biotech, the whole shebang. But the crucial thing to remember is what we just said. They can't be masters of all of them. They've got to pick their fights. Now, this slide is brilliant because it visualizes that exact strategic problem. Don't worry about the Swedish text, just focus on the shapes. On the left, you've got connectivity. See how that red line makes a big, broad shape? That shows strength across a ton of areas, from patents to startups. It's an established powerhouse. But then look at the right, at quantum technology. The shape is way smaller, much more focused. It's an emerging field for them for sure, but they're not dominant yet. This visual just perfectly shows why you can't treat every technology the same way. So the big takeaway here isn't about weakness. It's about having total strategic clarity. Acknowledging that you can't win on every single front is the absolute first step to figuring out where you can actually win. And this, right here, brings us to the core of Sweden's really innovative strategy. It's not just about picking winning technologies, it's about how you combine them. The key concept here is this idea of technology convergence. Basically, the thinking is that the real breakthroughs, the real value, aren't going to be created in these isolated tech silos. They're going to happen at the intersections, where different fields meet and merge together. Okay, I know this map might look a little intimidating, but stick with me. Think of it like a treasure map for innovation. It's a picture of that convergence strategy. The blue sections up top are the big industrial applications, and those green dots scattered all over, those are specific opportunities that pop up when you combine different tech areas. So you might see a dot where AI and manufacturing overlap. The bigger the dot, the bigger the potential. This is literally how they're mapping out where to focus their energy. So let's make this real. What are some of these convergence zones? Well, the strategy points to areas where Sweden already has a unique edge. Think about combining AI, sensors, and robotics to totally revolutionize factories and cars. Or, get this, merging energy tech, new materials, and automation to create fossil-free steel. These are the sweet spots where the strategy says Sweden can really lead. Okay, so with this focus on convergence, what are the actual moves? What are the specific, actionable things Sweden can do to lock in its position? What's the playbook? Here it is, 5 clear strategic moves. 1. Focus on systems integration, basically become the best in the world at making different technologies work together seamlessly. 2. Play a leading role in Europe's green transition. 3. Turn the entire country into a giant testbed for new ideas. 4. Use its already powerful industries like cars and manufacturing to pull these new tech combinations into the market. And 5. Get ready to scale up and industrialize these new innovations. And look, this isn't just wishful thinking. This whole strategy is built on a really solid foundation of strengths they already have. We're talking about a highly advanced industrial base, deep expertise in complex systems, a culture of high trust and collaboration, and serious knowledge in sustainability. These are the assets that make the whole playbook actually believable. Of course, no plan is ever perfect, right? The future is, well, it's messy and totally uncertain. So, how does a strategy even begin to account for that? This is such a brilliant way to think about it. In a world that's changing this fast, a fixed map can become useless the second you print it. What you really need is a compass, a tool that gives you a direction and lets you adapt your path no matter what the terrain ends up looking like. And this is what that compass looks like in action. This scenario map explores a bunch of different potential futures. Again, don't sweat the specific text here. Just look at the axes. The one on the bottom goes from a fragmented, rival-filled world on the left to a much more collaborative one on the right. And the vertical axis maps other big global shifts. By plotting its strategy on this map, Sweden can basically stress test its plan against all these possible outcomes to make sure it holds up. And that's the ultimate goal, you see. The focus on system integration, on collaboration, on being a key partner in critical industries, these are all moves designed to be valuable whether the world gets more cooperative or more divided. It's a strategy built for resilience. So there's no doubt Sweden has a clear-eyed, incredibly intelligent plan. It knows its limits, it knows its strengths. It's focused not just on inventing tech, but on integrating it. The strategy is solid. But in a race that's defined by brutal speed and massive scale, the one question that's left is, can they execute it fast enough to win?